Greetings, brothers and sisters. Another Hollywood celebrities dropping like flies.
They're dropping like flies.
Listen, people are dropping like flies out there.
I am
Boop.
off.
We're dropping like flies around here.
We're dropping like flies here.
Jeez, sir, 2 more just went down. Dropping like flies.
Too many people around here been dropping like flies already, and where's that getting us, huh? Nowhere. Fast.
Biden's being Biden's being extremist.
Crush that fly.
Probably going to be a shorter video today, but you'll see. You'll know. It'll tell what the video is by the time I make it. But anyways, let's start here. I haven't done the died suddenly in a while. Let's start off with that. Some very sad news this morning. Our thoughts are with Jay's family and friends. Wrexham fan who met Ryan Reynolds as his final wish dies of cancer. I hate when that happens. Okay, so I'm in the editing process, and it just dawned on me. Your dying wish? What's your dying wish? Can I meet Ryan Reynolds? Like, what's your dying wish? Oh, I don't know. Can I meet the guy who plays what's that? Deadpool? Yeah. Can I meet that guy? Like, if it's your dying wish to meet Ryan Reynolds, you have, one wish before you die, and you want to meet Ryan Reynolds, then you really haven't lived, right? Like, what kind of life do you have that would be your dying wish? I mean, this is a grown ass man, like. And so it sucks to die and die of cancer, but you also want to have a better life than that, right? There should be some other, I can't imagine that be even on a list. Certainly wouldn't be on my list, right? Like, maybe 10,000 on somebody's list, but certainly, wouldn't even exist. If I had a list of all the things I wanted to do before dying, and they're like, nope, you can't do that. All right, what's the next one? Nope. And I would run out of things, and Ryan Reynolds would not be a part of that, or neither would any other celebrity or anything like that. So, just saying. When a young Aussie woman with dreams of traveling the world dropped dead in front of her parents at a family dinner a month after she suffered a simple leg injury while walking home, she was 26, and she had cardiac arrest. Actress Samantha Weinstein, dead at 28 from cancer. She is off on her next adventure. She was diagnosed with cancer in 2021, the turbo kind. A high school football player is fighting for his life after collapsing during a basketball game. This isn't the same kid as I reported on 2 days ago. There was a kid who was having issues during a basketball game, back issues. They brought him to the hospital. He was diagnosed with leukemia and organ failure, and he was dead 24 hours later. This is a guy who collapsed during a basketball game, and his heart stopped when he had a stroke, and I guess they revived him, and now he's fighting for his life. So 2 very similar stories, but they're not the same person. British Airways air steward collapses mid-flight as captain calls emergency. So that happened. Prepare for a disease even deadlier than COVID, the WHO chief warns. It's coming, another one. I've recently been diagnosed with breast cancer, but I'm determined to get back on the dance floor before you know it. Strictly Come Dancing star Amy Dowden announces breast cancer. And she's, 32 years old. Tragedy, a 4-year-old girl dies in her sleep, and her devastated father shares a heartbreaking tribute in Albany, New York. Cruise tragedy, cruise ship horror as passenger dies swimming off haunted mystery island on a dream voyage. Well, why are they going to these mystery haunted islands? Ted Bernhardt, a former NBA referee, passed away suddenly in Isabela, Puerto Rico. He was probably older here, from back in Dennis Rodman's days. It says, Australian woman in Hawaii with 2 daughters dies suddenly. The trio traveled to the U.S. on a trip of a lifetime for a cheerleading competition. So that happened. Tragedy as man in his 60s dies from collapsing with cardiac arrest while walking in popular beauty spot. So there it is again. More cardiac arrest. Amazing husband died suddenly weeks after family moved into their dream home. I think this is a different person than I reported on before. There was another dream home maybe a couple weeks ago. This guy was 35. The Granite Baby Rugby Club is looking ahead to playing in national championship matches next week. They'll play its athletes safe for one of their own. Granite Bay Rugby team says stays strong ahead of national championship as Tyson Wasser has suffered a stroke. He was 17 years old. A lot of rugby players have gone down. Warning over Prime energy drinks after primary school child has stomach pumped. There was another kid who supposedly died of this, but it's happening all of a sudden. This kid had a cardiac episode. I think this is 2 different kids. This is the Logan Paul and KSI energy drink is apparently causing heart attacks, but nothing else is, right? Is there anything else that might be causing heart attacks? Florida banner plane crashes on field. Kind of speaks for itself. So that happened. 30 missing children found by U.S. Marshals, West District of Texas. Over 225 missing children were located during national operation. The United States Marshal Service, with help of several other agencies, have located hundreds of missing children in a nationwide recovery effort. The District of Texas and San Antonio Division located and recovered 30 endangered missing children over the course of the operation. So, I guess they're finding lost kids left and right here. Coordinator of Boston's Reparations Task Force fired after being arrested inside City Hall. The project coordinator of Boston Reparation Task Force has been fired. I don't know what Reparation Task Force means. Caught trespassing in an upstairs office. Trespassing in the building after hours, at times becoming aggressive and threatening other staff members inside City Hall. So, I guess no reparations. So my wife and I were talking about this, and I went to revisit this image here. And surprisingly, I don't think anybody else has covered this. But here's a topless little girl, and it says, "Don't be a paleface." And this dog is pulling down her bottoms, which would never happen in real life. But when I was a kid, there was this copper tone lotion. This was more the bottle, but the bottle was actually brown. And there was this image, right? And it's very disturbing, very pedo image, very creepy. And let me see if I can find an old bottle here. Here's the old bottle here when I was a kid. And they had this image on it, and this image is a part of their building structure here. Here's one here. The kid is, completely, this is an old one from 1955. Hollywood has always been a pedo place. Here's another one. Somebody's documented it over the years, but not in a way that's this is 1975, so this is when I was a kid. And I'm surprised other people haven't talked about it. Maybe they have. I forgot all about it. Then I said something to my wife about copper tone, and then we started talking about the image. Here's the commercial.
Water.
And so, and in this commercial, this girl's topless, and that's a 5-year-old girl, right? I mean, it's not a toddler. It's totally inappropriate, right? All this stuff here. This dog and all these things, right? Like, this is just creepy. 1984. And by 1984, I mean 1994. They did this, right? This is just off the charts creepy. We all accepted it as being normal, but it clearly wasn't, right? And just, all that implies but it's just a creepy thing. And, you know, long before that, there was movies made, you know, the R Gang comedy gang movies, and movies with Shirley Temple particularly. Shirley Temple played a toddler who was a prostitute, right? And I documented this. Very inappropriate stuff, sexually suggestive. And, you know, so it's been very pervy in Hollywood forever, in the corporate world. It wasn't like it was innocent back then. And this is just another example how creepy it was. Okay, so going back to this, woman 26 suddenly dies in front of parents while eating dinner. A young Brisbane woman tragically and suddenly died in front of her parents while eating a family dinner. And, I mean, there's got to be a story there somewhere. And it was of cardiac arrest. Again, you know, this is just, I mean, it's a very common occurrence. Marijuana linked to mental health risks in young adults, growing evidence shows. New research involving millions of people worldwide over decades adds to worries that heavy use of high-potency cannabis could exacerbate the mental health crisis in the United States. Well, anything that's altering your perception of reality, they should have known this years ago, right? Psychotic disorder. I mean, again, you know, they're getting to the party late here. Fans rip Beyonce and Jay-Z's ugly new $200 million mansion, empty Costco distribution center. Well, there it is there. So that's what it looks like. Montauk hotspot Mason Close burns to the ground day before slated opening. Paul Simon says he's lost most of his hearing in 1 year. I thought it would pass. So that happened. Jane Fonda, cranky Robert Redford, hates kissing, has an issue with women. So this, so here it says they did 4 movies together. I never said anything to him about it, and he always in a bad mood. And I always thought it was my fault. He said that he did not like to kiss, and then it said he's a very good person. He just has an issue with women, right? She's gone senile and she's starting to unload on people. But then I guess she went after Katharine Hepburn and Michael Douglas, and when she was in Cons, the stuff about Robert Redford, and he's a great filmmaker. I take my hat off to a great filmmaker. But as a man, I'm sorry. No. She said about that guy. Lee Marvin, he was very funny. He was always drunk. We stayed at the same hotel, and they had to carry him up the stairs. She went in on all these various people here. I made the movie for my father, but the person I learned from in the movie was Katharine Hepburn. All 3 of us were nominated for Oscars, and I didn't win, and they did. And I called Hepburn to congratulate her, and she said, "You'll never catch me now." So I guess all these things. So she's just Jane Fonda in the Hollywood cast she used to work with. Germany cracks down on far right with raids as hate crimes rise. So that's happening in Germany, apparently, according to MSNBC. Landlord supports claim that Edwin Castro isn't the $2 billion Powerball winner. Says his tenant showed him the winning ticket. Yeah, that means nothing, right? So there's somebody claiming that this ticket was stolen from him by the other guy. Botched New York City butt lift left Texas man infected and depressed, suit claims. The fact that you got a butt lift and you're a dude, you're already halfway towards being depressed. He showed he's had moderate kidney failure and other health issues since having his butt lift. Mary Tyler Moore hid her blindness for decades, widower said. She was going blind when she was on her TV show, and that makes more sense now. She often had that look like she couldn't see well. And she was going blind for over 30 years, and, while she was on, a popular figure there for a while. She's also very bitchy. Jay Leno, 73, reveals the one thing that would make him retire. Wait, you're not retired now? I thought he retired years ago. Okay, so more news on Target. Target's market cap plunges by $9 billion amid Pride clothing uproar. Trans women's bathing suits with tuck feature for intact males fail to impress investors. And there's a backlash within the conservative community, and they've lost $9 billion in their market share, boycotting, which I've talked about before. Then there was this from a postal worker.
People have been making videos about it dropping like flies, a lot of professionals. 19 people have died on my route. 19 people in the last 4 months. It's normal for 1 or 2 to go in about a year period of time. I have 460 homes on my route, which means that I have on average 4 people per home. Do the math, it's a lot. So 1 or 2 a year is pretty average, but to have 19 people die on my route in the last 4 months, maybe there's some truth to this, you guys. I don't know. What do you guys think? Because I'm freaking out.
She's freaking out. So, dropping like flies. People are catching on here. You can see there's a Keen ad here. I mentioned how I wear Keens in a video, and miraculously which I've never seen a Keen ad before. But anyways, Prince Harry has finally woken up to the truth about Meghan Markle's royal expert says. Prince family, it says here, Paul Burrell, who worked for Diana for 10 years until her sudden death, or unexpected death in 1997. And he said, I'm the only person in the UK is thinking, has Harry finally woken up to the truth? Has he finally seen the truth of what his wife is doing, and that he's been brainwashed or mesmerized by her beauty or something? Because we all know that, but he doesn't seem to see it. As much as I dislike Meghan Markle, like as a person, as a personality, as, the way she whispers, and she's so superficial and so self-conscious, and I'm Meghan Markle's, and I just about to say something so profound, and that stuff I really can't stand. I mean, it's just so fake, and it's hard for me to watch her talk and things like this. But she's an individual person with an individual personality. The royal family is an institution. It's an entity, and every person in the institution, is supporting the evil aspects of that institution, which is much worse than Meghan Markle. Meghan Markle hasn't inflicted pain on people all over the world for hundreds of years, which the royal family has done with their oppression and all these things. Like, Meghan Markle's fake, she's unlikable, but she's not nearly as bad as the royal family. And like I said, the family is an institution. It is a cancerous organization that spans more than the blood relatives. It's also the firm, the people who work in the firm, who, the firm is the beast of the royal family that keeps the royal family members going in the right direction, and their media personalities. And, anybody can put on a fake smile and pretend to act humble and wave to the crowd. And, what are they like when the cameras aren't on, or what's going on inside of them? But aside from all that, it's the institution of the royal family. Our families affect us. When we're young, our family has like 100% effect on us in our primary years. And then we might leave our family, behind, not talk to our relatives, but it still affects us to some degree, to some percentage. People who suffer abuse from their family and trauma from their family, they never get over it, right? And, it's escaping from your family, and because part of it's genetic and part of it's social. It's a very difficult thing. And for the royal family members, they never escape from their family. It's their identity. It's Prince Harry. It's that he's a prince in the royal family. That's his identity. He doesn't have a persona. He has a certain, the role that he plays, they always have one dope. Like, Biden was Obama's dope, and the vice president Ed McMahon. They have these archetypes that they run. There's always one dunce in the family. Prince Andrew was the brother of now King Charles. He was the screw up. There's always one screw up. There's always these chosen one, the heir to the throne, right? Whatever. There's a golden boy, and Prince William and Harry was a screw up, right? He played the screw up for years. Often had issues. There was always stories about him. They served him up. He played that role, the scapegoat, these things. And so eventually he left the family, but his whole life is going to be, in this institution. For those of us who have extricated ourselves from our family to some extent, our family's effect on us, and are operating without that effect, it takes a lot of work. And, it's always going to play some role, because your primary and formative years, you are indoctrinated by your family. And your family, if your family's a family of losers, whatever it is, a family of abusive family or drunks or whatever it might be, you're going to, feel that. You have a loving family. You have a family that's, functional. You're going to, you have an advantage that other people just don't have. And those people who have really competent, loving parents who are sacrificing to make their kids have better lives, right? But there are some families that the family demands and expects things of you your whole life. They are very, enmeshed and intrusive, and you're expected to sacrifice your life for the greater good of the family. And the royal family, this organization, is the pinnacle of that, right? And so as bad as Meghan Markle's might be, it's not nearly as bad as the royal family. All right, so I'm just going to end this one here. There's always more stuff to put in there, but I'll continue on in a couple days. The Island Boys thing, there's all these people sending me a picture that people are saying is the Island Boys with Jeffrey Epstein on his island. There are certain narratives in the right-wing element of the truth community. It used to be Hillary Clinton. Everything would end up with the Clintons, right? Anything that was there's some kind of conspiracy going on, it would end up, of course, in Soros or Clintons, and now Jeffrey Epstein, right? And that the Island Boys named themselves after going to the island with Jeffrey Epstein. And, they're just, there's like a history of the boys, and it doesn't involve Epstein, right? Like, they were, problem children for their mom and acting up and, all these things in and out of detention centers. And, there's like a history there, which, whatever it is. But there's just always this energy around, or consciousness around certain figures, and people in the right-wing truth community always do this because they know it'll get views, or, they always warp the narrative so it includes something like this, right? The Island Boys are, their own kind of source of stupid. The other thing I want to say, I watched this movie, Jurassic World, over like 3 or 4 different days, just to get through it. And, it was the last in the series of the Jurassic Park movies. And they were so, all the movies follow a very, a template, a very predictable path. And, they're not very good. I mean, the first one probably being the best, I don't know. I don't think I've seen all of them. My kids and I were in India when the first Jurassic World, this series, the final trilogy, came out. So, there was some interest in that. I think we saw the second one together as well. But there was one thing worth noting, that there was a company, this is the narrative, there's always this villainous corporate entity that wants to profit off of the dinosaurs' DNA or whatever it is. And there was a company that, what happened was that in the other movies, the dinosaurs are just now living amongst people, and they're a problem. And the company is saying that they're taking care of this. They've created a habitat for them, and they're doing DNA type of reconstruction. And they invent a locust. It's a pharmaceutical company called Biotech, which, brings in this whole thing, right? Pharmaceutical, big pharma. And they create a locust that will, they're creating seeds of their own, and the locust isn't eating their seeds. The locust is, going to destroy all the other crops, but their seeds. So it brings in this idea of Monsanto and this kind of conspiracy where they would threaten the future of humanity by, the locusts are like, 12 inches long. They're like these huge, horrific insects, right? And, I say this all the time. Like, these conspiracies, when they call you conspiracy theorists, are always used, the same conspiracies are used in movie after movie, right? Even like a stupid movie like this. And, there's people who will do horrible things for profit, right? There's one guy here, the guy who runs a company. I mean, they call you crazy conspiracy theorists, and yet they do it in all their, like, imaginations and all their Hollywood productions have stuff like this in it, right? Where there's these doomsday types of power-hungry people that threaten the safety and well-being of the whole planet so they can profit and control it, right? At the end, the guy's saying, this is all about control, right? This is so we can control things or whatever it is. Again, the movie was really bad, like just so contrived, and some of the lines are. I was like, I was kind of stunned how bad it was. They bring in all the original, the Jeff Goldblum and Laura Dern, that other British actor who's got like stage 4 cancer now. It's been revealed. The main character in the first ones, with the new cast for the third trilogy or whatever it is, and it's just unbelievably contrived and just so just follows these patterns where the dinosaurs seem to like be hunting the stars of the show for some reason, have consciousness that they just wouldn't have. But anyways, they always throw these conspiracies in there, and with this one, it's big pharma and threatening the food source and all these other things, and then all this other stuff to do with genetic manipulation and whatever, cloning and these other things. But we're crazy. Anyways, only spirituality will save this world. It's Paul Romano, definitely pointing for the apocalypse and the ascension. Everyone have a blessed day and be grateful.